Aaron's going for the cinematography award tonight.
I am.
Yeah.
You're gonna see my award on the bottom, in the credits, Avi.
You guys have a Lavona by you?
We did, yeah.
Yeah. No.
We had it, but it went away. We had it for the people that davened early. The people that davened late didn't get it.
So Naftali, where's that put you?
I
Naftali,
got
where
it.
does that put you?
I got it. I davened at 45, so I got it.
45.
In order for me to get here, I davened Yeshiva for Rockaway. In the early meeting.
Jacob, you see what happens when you're not around? Look at him.
I know. It's dominating at 45. Next I know he's going to not say Ketairas from a cloth.
I saw your son. I saw your son-in-law.
Between the jokes, I'll go make Havdalah.
I saw your son-in-law. I told him if you're not home, you're gonna start the daf on time because they're gonna make Havdalah much faster. So I have to daven here because you're gonna go much faster.
I hear. Okay. Well, here we are. So. All right, let's go before Rachman gets too nervous about not making
Jacob, before you start,
you're supposed to push off of them.
Jacob, what's the Meyer situation for the week over there?
You think they know? You think they know? I don't know. I'll find out tomorrow, hopefully. I'll find out tomorrow. I'll let Doyle know. Okay, so anyway, so we're holding in the sugya. We're on the two lines up in the bottom, Lamed Chesam base. We're holding in the sugya of if a guy makes a master, or owner, whatever you want to call him, makes his slave hektish. So he said, at least the first sheet said that if he makes his slave hektish, it's not. He becomes hefker, meaning not hefker. He becomes automatically freed, because it can't be. You can't make a slave hektish because you can't bring him as a carbon, and you can't use him as in a bedek habayis. You can't use him to be part of Beis Hamikdash. Right, so we had one option that meant maybe that he meant to be makdish the worth of the slave, right? But, right, but basically we said that according to Rav that it means that he's hektish. So the Gemara went through a few kashas on this, and the Gemara continued the kashas. So Tashma, second line from the bottom, is Tashma, hamakdish avdoi. So if somebody makes his eved to hektish, so now if the eved is hektish, so he's considered holy. So is he allowed to even use his own work? Right? So yes. So the Gemara is saying he's allowed to, whatever work he does, his handiwork, he could do, and he could even eat from it. That when a person makes his eved hektish, he didn't mean to make himself hektish. He meant to make the worth of the eved hektish. On Tamar Aleph now. So what's the kasha? The kasha is obviously, you see, when a guy makes his eved into hektish, the eved is not. He's not. He doesn't go free. Doesn't say anywhere he goes free. He just says he could use his handiwork. So I'm going to answer somebody. Rameir, that price is going according to Rameir. Rameir disagrees on this whole thing. He says it can't be that a person, even halavai, this should be at all of us, that we don't talk to Dvarim B'Teilim, right? But what he means, what Rashi says, nobody says something's hektish for no reason. Meaning, if the guy meant that he's freeing his slave, he would have just said, I'm freeing my slave. Why would he go backwards and say, I'm going to make my slave hektish? And what he meant by that was that he's making his slave, he's freeing his slave. Why would he do that? Rameir says it can't be. It can't be that he's doing that. So therefore, what is he doing? He's makdish the worth of it. But that's Rameir's shita. And the other prices disagrees with it and says, no, he means to free it. So it's a machlokes tanoim. So Gemara answers, says, that makes sense. The Ketani safe of if the Eved makes himself hektish, he could do work and he could eat. When he makes himself hektish, he doesn't mean that he himself is making himself. He's just taking his worth, and he's going to take whatever his worth is. Let's say the Eved is worth $1,000, so he's going to have to give $1,000 to the Beis Hamikdash. See, if you say that it's Reb Meir Shapir, then it makes sense. Eliyam Rabbanon, but if you say it's a Rabbanon who said that he's not hektish, right? He went free. Bishlama Avdoi L'Dami Koi, right? So we understand his own meaning. If a guy makes his slave hektish, because you can normally sell a slave for money, so therefore you make him worth money. Elihi L'Dami Koi, but can he make himself, right? Can a person make himself into hektish with just stop making hektish, right? So meaning when you say the last case, which is talking about a person making himself hektish, he's allowed to work, right? That wasn't talking about an eved, right? Meaning you can't just sell. Well, how do you say that a guy makes himself hektish? Means he's making his worth hektish, right? And then he can't sell himself. So what's he worth, right? How do you put how much a guy is worth? Meaning if you make
Have the
himself,
chart. What about the chart?
what?
What about the chart?
You mean what? Like if he makes a cherem on himself that he's a certain amount, or he makes a
Isn't that erchen? Don't we have an erech?
Yeah.
You can erech a person.
right? But he didn't do that. That's the thing. Right? He didn't make himself erchen. He just made himself hektish. So the shah is, what does he mean when he's making himself hektish? If he would have said erchen savadi, he has a worth, or cherem, he has a worth. He didn't do that here. He used a different terminology. So the terminologies we're trying to say that it doesn't mean
So
he
make
makes
him a
himself
nazir. Call him,
hektish
tell him, say he's a nazir, and that's it. So finish. So,
you could do that. Maybe you could do that.
People make that. People who do drugs make themselves ladies. No, people make themselves hefker. You know? You see these guys all the time. They're like hefker.
That doesn't mean it can't be that he's making his worth hektish in that terminology, because that terminology doesn't work. He doesn't have a worth, right? Right? I'm saying he doesn't have a worth, so therefore it can't be that he can make himself a worth. Elamai must be that it's going according to Rameya, right? That that Memela, it means that he's doing some sort of donation to the base of Mikdash, and that's because he's not saying Levatol, right? Yeah. Yeah. So the bottom line is we have a machlokes. So let's say this whole din is a machlokes tanoim, right? Hamakdish avdoi ein moilin, but let's say a guy makes his slave hektish. So then there's no me'ila, meaning if he uses the slave or whatever the slave produces, there's no me'ila. Me'ila is if you use something from hektish. So from Shimon Gamliel, I'm Ramayel Besaira. He says you are over on me'ila if you use the hair of the eved. Fascinating din, right? Yeah, meaning again, there's no me'ila on the actual eved, but if you use his hair, maybe you cut off his hair and you make a shaitel out of it, then you'd be over on me'ila. And we'll see what this is talking about. My labakam, what's the machlokes? The marsav a kaddish. One holds that it's kaddish, right? Meaning, and the mela that's like Rameir, and marsav a like kaddish, and the other one holds, the other shita holds that he's not kaddish. So the Gemara says, "V'tizbara ha'ma'ilim bay, ve'ein ma'ilim bay." Well, then, if you're talking about whether there's hektish here, so what are you talking about? Whether you're over on me'ila, you're not over on me'ila. High kaddish ve'ein a kaddish mi'bayilei. Right? This is talking about kaddish and ain't a kaddish. Meaning you should have said that whether the shaila is whether this eved is hektish or not whether there's me'ila. Ella the kuliyama kaddish. Everybody holds that the eved is kaddish, right? But like Rashi points out, he himself can't be kaddish because we can't donate a person to the Beis Hamikdash. What his worth is kaddish. The marsav and the eved is like karka, right? So and meaning when there's no me'ila on karka. So the same way there's no me'ila on karka, so there's no me'ila on an eved either. Umar Sabakim Metaltalin, and the other one says that a slave is like Metaltalin, and there is me'ila on Metaltalin. So Gemara asks, so then why are they having a machlokes whether you're over on me'ila on the hair? Why don't you have a machlokes over whether there's me'ila on the actual eved? If the eved is hektish, so then why isn't there a machlokes about the eved himself? Why only about the hair? So we say no, really the eved is like karka. So there's no me'ila. So then why is the me'ila on the hair? We're talking about the hair that's about to be cut off for a haircut, right? Why? Because Marsav is dummy. So one holds it's like it's cut, and once the hair is cut, it's looked at like it's metaltalin. If it's metaltalin, there's me'ila on it. Or Marsav Lavka is dummy, and the other one holds that it's not like it's cut, and therefore it's still part of the Eved. And since it's still part of the Eved, therefore there is no Me'ila because it's considered like Karka. So again, what we're saying now is that the Eved is for sure Karka, and there's no Me'ila on it. The Shiloh of his hair, he's about to take a haircut, so you're going to cut off the hair. Once the hair is cut, the hair is considered metaltal, and it's movable. Since it's movable, there's hektish on it. There's Me'ila on it, right? So this actually comes up. This actually comes up a lot, meaning by mikvah, is hair that's about to be cut a chatzitza or not? Right? Hair and nails that are cut, they're supposed to be cut, right? Now, if a woman constantly, if obviously it's more to women, let's say a woman does hair removal, right? Most women do some form of hair removal, and they didn't do it before mikvah. So is it a chatzitza or not? Right? So the pashtus is that it's a chatzitza, since it's based on this machlokes here. If you say hair that's meant to be cut, and it's as if it's detached from the body, so we look at the hair or the nails that it's really, even though it's attached to the body, but it's really detached from the body. So if you say that, then a woman cannot go to the mikvah unless she did the hair removal, right? So what the Paiskim do say is that for whatever reason the woman couldn't do the hair removal, they should not do it the next day. They shouldn't do it the next day. They should wait a little bit, because like this, it's not mamash amud kagazes, right? And like this, it helps a little bit, but because there's this thing, talk about a chumrah that asili de kula. So there's a lot of the kala teachers, I don't know who came up with this, but they said that women should not shave the day of the mikvah, because sometimes there's little hairs that get stuck in the body and they don't come off. That's hard to come off. Sometimes when you shave a little bit of hair or ingrown hair, whatever it is. So they say don't do it the day of the mikvah. So a woman forgets, and then she remembers the day of the mikvah, and now they don't shave the hair because they say, oh, they told us not to shave. Yeah, but it's a whole lot worse if you're going to shave after the mikvah, right? It's a way worse, right? That's a classic chumrah d'asli de kula situation, right? They shouldn't do that. I get this question very often. They should shave even before the mikvah and just make sure they wash it. They wash the area well, right? Otherwise, we're saying that it's kigaz's dam. Either way, so that's the practical of tonight's. That's the way to spin avodim, some sugi about avodim, and to get into some practical examples. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what the Gemara is saying. That's the machlokes. Whether we say a hair that's cut, is it considered hair that's ready to be cut, is considered already detached? So let's say this machlokes tanoim over whether hair is cut, that hair that's about to be cut is going to be cut, is the same machlokes as the following. The Tanan Rameir Omer yesh dvarim shem kikarka ve'ein kikarka. There are certain things that are like karka, and they're not like karka, right? Meaning, normally we make if there's a fight about something and somebody denies owning something, so you have to make a shvua. You make a shvua, right? On karka, you don't make a shvua. So there are some things. In some ways, there are things that are sometimes like karka and some things not. The ein chacham ma'adim lo, and the chacham didn't agree with Rameir. Ketzad eser gefanim tunas v'satila. If a guy said, I gave you over 10 gefanim, 10 grapevines that had tunas, that had grapes on them, I gave them to you. And the other guy says, you didn't give me 10, you gave me 5. Right? So he's maida b'miktsas, right? He was maida. So normally a maida b'miktsas has to swear. So Rameir mechayev. Rameir says he's chayev to swear. Chachamim say no. The grapes are attached to the ground. Therefore, we don't swear on karka. The difference between these two shitas is
like you just said by the lady. Exactly like you said by the lady.
Right, exactly. So the same machlokes. That's what we're saying. So grapes that are they're talking about ready to be harvested grapes is the difference. Why? They're even though they're attached to the ground, but since they're about to be detached, so they look like they're detached, right? The same thing with the hair with the woman. No, they're still attached to the ground. So until they're detached, they're considered part of the ground. So therefore, you don't make a shvur. So we're trying to say that that's the machlokes Rameir and the chachamim, right? Again, that we're saying that the same machlokes about the grapes, whether you make a shvur, whether since they're going to be detached, are they considered detached already or not? Is the same machlokes of whether the hair of the Eved is attached or detached. So Gemara says no, not necessarily. Afilu tema Reb Meir. You could even say Reb Meir. Adkan like Reb Meir hasam elabanovim. Reb Meir only said over there by grapes. The kama the kaimen mikchash krishi. As long as the grapes are there, they're going to get worse, right? So that's what the mayor said. We look at them like they detach because you want them coming off. Nobody wants them to sit there. But the hair, or the longer that it's on the head, the better it gets. I guess going with the opinions that long hair is nice, right? So the hair is nice. What?
Oh, how do you do this?
Yeah. Anyways,
yeah, this is where it came from. It started in the '60s, with the long hair. The long hair is nice. Long hair is nice.
Long hair is So that's what the Gemara is saying. So therefore, keeping hair on, maybe there, it's not going to look as detached until it's actually detached. Because the bottom line is
when the Torah says here, ladies, here is an erva. So what is your problem? The Torah says that. What are you hacking a cup?
You're saying that you're agreeing that hair is better, longer hair is better.
It didn't start in the '60s. It started in the Chumash.
He mentioned that.
Isha is the Arab, not Sarah Ish.
Oh, well, we don't know. We're talking about a man or I guess an Eved. We're talking about an Eved, right? Actually, a guy told me with his shredders. People were saying over stories of Reb Chaim Kanievsky today. So this shredder has very long hair. So Reb Chaim was very anti-long hair. So the guy went into him, and it was in the 3 weeks. And the Reb Chaim said, "What's with the hair?" He says, the Avelis of the 3 weeks. So Reb Chaim looks at his beard. He says, "The beard is Avelis. The hair is Naziris." he got him, right? So so that's the guy still has long hair, so it didn't really help much. But anyway, fine. So that's what the Gemara is saying. It's not necessarily the same machlokes. Fine. Kisalek Reb Chia Bar Yosef, when Reb Chia Bar Yosef went up to Eretz Yisrael, no, right? Whenever the Gemara says Kisalek, means that he went up. So to Eretz Yisrael, Amar Lahai Shmai to the Rav Kamei to Reb Yochanan. He said over Rav's din by Reb Yochanan. Amar Lei Amar Rav Hachi, and he said to him, "Did Rav say this?" Loi Amar Hachi, right? But the Gemara says, what do you mean? Didn't Reb Yochanan say the same din? If a guy makes his Eved Hefker, he goes to Cheres, it's Tzarech get Shicher, but he still needs to get Shicher, right? And we said yesterday that Rav had said that if a guy makes his Eved into a Hektish, right? And Kol Shekain, if somebody makes his Eved Hefker, he goes out for free. So what's Reb Yochanan so worried? What's he so worried about whether Rav actually said it if he himself agrees with the same din? Again, that if a guy makes his Eved Hektish or he makes his Eved Hefker, he goes free. So the Gemara answers, Hachi Kamerle, Amar Rav Kavasi. What he told him is that Rav said, meaning he's asking, did Rav say like me? Meaning he wasn't asking about Rav's kasha. He was just saying, wow, I'm mechaven to Rav. He didn't, meaning he didn't finish it. He didn't finish saying it over. Amalei, and he said to him, but didn't, meaning he started saying the get goes free. And I guess he stopped him. He said, does he not require a get shikhr? Right? Which he then said that he does require a get shikhr. Meaning we said, let's just to chazar it over. We said there's two stages for it ever to go free. There's the freedom, but then even besides the freedom, he still has an isser of marrying a yid. So for that, he needs to get shikhr. Well, it's a machlaik is what he needs to get shikhr. So we're saying here, Rabbi Yochanan is saying that he does need to get shikhr. Rabbi Yochanan tameid, Amar Ula, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, a mafker avda, yotzel lecheres. Somebody who's mafker is eved, he goes free. It's our get shikhr, but he needs a get shikhr. Fine. Kufa, Amar Ula, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, mafker avda, yotzel lecheres, it's our get shikhr. Right? So Ula says, Rabbi Yochanan, if he makes this eved hefker, the eved goes free, but he still needs to give him a star to enable him to get married to a yid. So if you have a ger who died, who business you saw on the chasav, and then the yidin, meaning a ger has no yarshim, right? So if a ger has no yarshim, so anything that he has becomes hefker. So now business you saw on the chasav, and the yidin took everything that belonged to the ger. Right? And he has avodim, and whether those avodim are over bar mitzvah or less than bar mitzvah, kanu atzman b'nei chayrin. they became b'nei chayrim. Meaning, even though a yid came and took all the belongings of the ger, but the avodim are kind of themselves first. So therefore, they go free. That's
Do
the
they need to get shikra to get married?
I don't think so. Right, but let's see. Let's see. The Gemara is going to really ask it. Let's see. Gedolim are kind of themselves, but ketanim kol hamachzik behen zachav ben. Whoever is machzik in them takes them. Right? Meaning why? Because they're ketanim, so they don't have the strength to be kind of. Yeah. So v'chi mi kasav get shikra le'elu. Right? Did they really? Who gave them a get shikra? How did they go free? Like Racham just said. Right? How did they go free? They need to get shikra. According to Rabbi Yochanan, you need to get shikra. Meaning everything goes free. Everything goes free from the ger. Right? But you still need to get shikra, meaning it's hefker. So you still need to get shikra. So Omar, Dami, Haimid Rabbanik, the loy gami inchi shmaitza. So Rav Ava, it seems like what Rav Ava said is not, it's as if they never learned anything. I guess is the equivalent of saying that whoever said this over is an Amoritz. Right? Meaning it can't possibly be true. The time of my, right? So why did they? Why don't they need a get shikra? So Rav Nachman says, "Ula avdei de ger ki ishter." The evid of a ger, right, is like his wife. Ma ishte mishtalachas beloy ger, just like his wife. When he dies, his wife goes free without a get. Afavada mishtachim beloy get. So his evid also goes free without a get. So there's a new spin on it. He's saying even though normally if an evid becomes hefker, he needs to have a get. But if the wife, but a ger does not. Why? When he dies. So, excuse me. So the kids, so the avodim also do it. So I'm going to ask if that's the case, then even a yid too, right? Meaning, why when a yid dies, why do his kids yarshin his avodim? Shouldn't they go free the same way the wife goes free? Amakra. So the Gemara answers no. That we have a pasuk. It's nachaltem muslim lebneichem acharechem the reshes tachuz. So there the pasuk says, and you're going to yarshin avodim for the kids for a reshes achuza, right? Fine. So the Gemara asks, hachi. So if somebody mafker his eved and then he dies, meaning it's a two-step process. The guy dies. He makes his eved hefker, and then he dies. So then he should also not need a star. A Meimar had said that if a guy makes his eved hefker, then that eved has no takana, right? Meaning he's stuck in the middle. We had this on Friday too, a similar case. Meaning, who's writing him a get shikra? He was already made hefker before the owner died, right? So the owner really had to give him a get shikra, but the owner died now. The kids don't own the slave because he was made hefker. They can't give him a get shikra. So who gives him a get shikra? So basically, he's not an eved. But he can't marry anybody either because he doesn't have a get shikra, right? So he's stuck. So then, why is he stuck?
He can't even marry. He can't even marry a mamzeres. He can't. He's really stuck. Normally, a ger can marry a mamzeres, but even over here, he has the din of a ger. He can't. He doesn't even have that possibility.
He's really stuck. Yeah, that's right. But that's the Gemara's kasha. Why is he stuck? If we're saying, right? If he's saying that it's that you don't need it, Rabbi Yochanan is saying that you don't need it once the guy makes him hefker. So then it would be okay. So what it says, Damema Kasha, it's Taka Shver. It's Taka Shver why he would need it. If the owner dies and made him hefker, then it's Taka Shver. Some Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi, Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi, halacha ka'Abba Shol. The halacha is like Abba Shol, right? That if a ger dies, then the ones over bar mitzvah become free, but the ones who are less than bar mitzvah are hefker. Some of the Rav Zera, Rabbi Yaakov Bar Idi, on Tom the base. Befeir shmiyalach, I'm a klal shmiyalach. Did you hear this din that the halacha is like Abba Shol, that we differentiate between the slaves over bar mitzvah and under bar mitzvah? Did you hear that befeirish, or did you hear it from just maklala, meaning you're learning it from a rule, meaning you heard him say something and you're being medayik? So my klala, what would be the klal? Right? What would he be medayik it from? Damar Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Amru, Damar Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Amru lefnei Rebbe. Like they said in front of Rebbe, Amar nisiyashti miploni avdi mao. If a guy says, I am miyayish from this Eved, meaning the Eved, Rashi says nisiyashti is a lashon of hefker. He's hefker. He made his hefker. He made his Eved hefker. Amar lahem. And Rebbe said to them, Omerani ain lo takana ela b'shtar. It's very nice that his boss made him hefker, but he still needs a star. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, my time with Rebbe. Why did Rebbe say this? Gamar la la meisha. We learn la la meisha. Ma isha b'shtar. Af eved nami b'shtar. Just like an isha is with the star, so an eved also with the star. Katayakas mina ki isha. Now we're being medayik that it says that an eved's like an isha. Ma isha yisura v'loy mamayna. When and a woman, why does she need a get? Just for issa, right? But not for money. So af eved nami yisura v'loy mamayna. So an eved also, that he only needs a star to take away the isser of marrying a yid, but for the isser of avdus, that he doesn't need. So that would be that would have been the klal. So Gemara says, what?
Oh, am I still on?
You're still on.
I don't see any picture here.
You don't see.
Oh, shucks.
You okay there, Rachman? Rachman, you okay?
No, I don't know how to do this phone.
Well, we could hear you. You want to say
there we go.
something?
Yeah, that was the favorites. Now the Gemara's going to ask McClellan. No, you said McClellan. No, this was the
What?
favorite.
No, we're gonna be. It doesn't. He's not really. No, because tayakas mina kiisha maishi surah v'loy mamayna, right? Af evenami surah v'loy mamayna, right? He's learning it. It's not exactly the case, right? What was Rebbe talking about? He was talking about a regular gadol, right? But how about a cotton? Rebbe wasn't talking about a cotton, right? So l'chayra, we're going to be medayik from there. I mean, the Gemara doesn't say it, right? The Gemara doesn't say anything about the cotton, so that we have to infer. So the Gemara said that's what the Gemara is asking now. And if taka we learned it out from this klal, so what's wrong? What's wrong with learning it out? Amalei, so he said to him, Adarabba, the opposite. So why don't you make a diak the other way? Ma isha ben gedol ben katana, and isha, you can give a woman a get, right? And it works whether she's a gedola, whether she's a katana. Af eved nami ben gedol ben katan, so an eved also, right? You should either if you're letting him go free, then it doesn't make a difference whether he's an eved or whether he's a katan. So therefore, we don't necessarily know whether this din is we can learn out from the rule or not. So Malay, so he answered back to him, I heard it straight out from him. I didn't make it from some klal. I learned it straight out. Fine. For Reb Chia bar Abba Amar Yochanan, ein halacha k'Abba Shol. He says the opposite. Halacha is not like Abba Shol. Amar Reb Zera Reb Chia bar Abba beferish shmiyalach. I'm a klal shmiyalach. Did you hear that for beferish? Or did you hear it from a rule? My klala, Damar Rabbi Shua ben Levi. What would be the rule? Amar lefan of Rebbe Nisiyashti miploni avdi. Mao. They asked in front of Rebbe. If a guy says miyayish from, this is just the same Gemara, just the opposite. If a guy was miyayish from his eved, so what's it in? There's no takana only with the star. My time with the Rebbe, Gomra law meisha, because we learn out law from meisha. My isha b'shtar, I've have it, I've b'shtar. Right? Because the yakas mina ki isha, my isha ben gedolim in katana, just like an isha, whether she's gedol katana to get works, I've have it nami ben godol ben cotton. And evet too should work whether it's a godol or cotton. And the Gemara says, okay, so if you learn it out from a klal, so what's the problem? So the Gemara says, Adarab, doik mina lahakisa. Make a diak the other way. Ma isha isura v'lememayna, just like an isha is isur and not mammon. So af evet nami isura v'lememayna. And evet also, it only works for isur, but it does not work for mammon. Right? Like we said, there's two things going on here. You got to release the evet from isurim of marrying a yid, and you also have to release him from mammon. So Amar he said, back to Beferish Shmili, I heard it Beferish. I didn't get it from a rule. Fine. Okay, this is not an easy daf, in case anybody noticed. I don't want anybody to think that, I'm not chopping it, and I'm a dumb guy, right? I'm not saying that I'm not a dumb, but I'm just, this is, the back and forth is I can only speak for myself about being dumb. All right, but
Maybe we need Musar after the daf, but not before it.
I hear. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm
If I have no questions, you're saying I understand?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so so we said if this guy makes his evet hefker, and then he dies, there's no takana, right? The only way you can do it is with a star. So Vatanya, and meaning if the owner's still alive, so he can write him a star. If the owner died, he can't give him. Vatanya, Rebbe Omer Ani Afu Noisim Debei Atzma V'Yotzim Neshu Kamay Choloi. Right? Rebbe said that even Eved who was made hektish, what he could do is he can go over to the Beis Hamikdash and he could give them money and he buys himself out. It's as if he's selling the Eved to himself, right? So you see, there was no star here. Again, a boss made the guy hektish. So now whatever that means, hektish, his worth is hektish. He's hektish. Bottom line is, Rebbe says he can go to the Beis Hamikdash, to the Gizbar, and he could buy himself back. How could he buy himself back? What happened to the star? So does he need a star? Does he not need a star? So Gemara answers, this is what it's saying. Oy bekesef, oy b'shtar. He could either get himself out with kesef or with star. Right? But the guy who is buying himself out, he's deciding to do it with he's doing it with kesef, meaning he is buying himself out so that the Baal does not have any what do you call it? Any bailus over him. Right? Okay, Ulafuke, what's this coming to a school? Ufuke Me'atan is coming to a school. This time, the Tanya, Rebbe Shimon, I remember Shimon Rebbe Kiva Yochel Yeh Kesef Goimer. So you would think that Kesef is the way that you get here he's talking about a female slave. Meaning the way you would get rid of a female slave is with money. Kederech shtar goimer, well, the same way a star finishes her off. Meaning the same way the way you get rid of an eved is with a star. So you would be able to do with kesef too. Tamaleru hefta loy niftasa. You cannot be paid there. Ayra kol parsha kula l'loy chupasa. The whole parsha finishes with that she was not l'loy chupasa, she was not freed. Right? Meaning this is talking about where they're mezana. Yeah, what's the whole pasuk that you look on the side there? It's talking about that a yid is not allowed to be together with an eved kananis, or all right. And if it's also for him to marry her, and obviously it's in the Torah, and they have to get divorced. But an eved ivri is allowed to be with an eved kananis if the boss agrees to it. But it's not a marriage, but it's not an isser either, right? And now we're talking about that they got married or they were living together, whichever one, and now they're being paid to her, right? So, So Memela, he has to bring an Issa. He has to bring a carbon. So what I'm saying, that's basically the story. So I recall a parsha the whole parsha says that she was not freed. To tell you shtar goimerba, that a shtar finishes it off, meaning she goes free with the shtar. The ain hakesef goimerba, and the kesef does not free her. Fine. So Reb Shimon, the halacha is like Reb Shimon. Rabbi Yosef bar Chama Yochanan ain't halacha Reb Shimon. Halacha is not like Reb Shimon. Fine. So Ashki Reb Nachman bar Yitzchak l'Rava bar Shilta. So he found Rava bar Shilta to have a koya pischa to Beit Tefillah. He was staying by the doorway of the shul. Amrle halacha ain't halacha. Is the halacha like Reb Shimon or not? Amrle ani omer ain't halacha. He says I say the halacha is not like Reb Shimon. V'Rabbanan dasim in Mechuza Amri, and the Rabbanan from Mechuza say. Amar Reb Zeir Mishmei Reb Nachman halacha is like him, like Reb Shimon. When we came to Surah, Ashkel Reb Chiya bar Avin, Amrlei Emily easy. He said to him, he said, I'm sorry, Amri Lei. I said to him, Emily easy. Tell me now, Gufa da Avda Hechi Havin. What was exactly the whole situation? Amrali said to me that who Amsadav Mara Shimera. There was this female slave whose boss was dying. Asiya Bachya Kamein, she came crying, Amrale, and I said to her, Ad Amos Tishtabit V'Tezel Hi Itza. I'm sorry, Amrale, and she said to him, how long are you going to Shabbat and go, this lady? Meaning this guy was dying. She did not want to be Yarshin by his kids, and then she's continued to be an Eved. So she's asking for some way to get out. So Shakal Kumse Shadaba, what happened is he took his hat and he gave it to her. Right? Amr Allah, Zil Kaniha, be kind of the hat, the Kani Nafshech, and then you be kind of yourself, which is a Kenyan Khalipin. At least that's what he thought he was doing. He was giving her a hat, and in exchange, she's giving she's buying back her Avdus. So Rav Nachman says she didn't do anything. Right? The guy dying didn't do anything. Right? The one that saw this said that the reason why he said it did nothing is Allah is like Reb Shimon. Right? That meaning that kesef is a woman cannot, an Eved cannot buy themselves back with kesef. It's not true. It's the kalim of the makna, meaning if you want to do a chalipin, then what had to happen is the boss doesn't give his hat to the Eved, and the Eved or the Amal, the lady gives back her avdus. No, she has to give her hat to him, and in exchange, he gives her back to herself. Meaning, when you do a chalipin, like when you go to, basically what this guy did is like when you go to a rabbi to do the mechiras chametz. So the rabbi gives his pen to you, and you are giving the rights to your chametz. What happened here was the equivalent of you coming to the rabbi, you give the rabbi a pen, and you say, hey, rabbi, take this pen, and then you're taking my chametz too. Right? Doesn't work. You got to take the rabbi's pen, and you give him something in exchange, not if both are going in the same direction. So they thought that maybe he said it because he held like Reb Shimon, that her buying herself back with kesef doesn't work. And now the reason was, no, he would hold like Reb Shimon, that it does work. Right? But the Kinyan Chalipin was done incorrectly. Fine. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Achisai, Amar Rav Hamnuna Saba, Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Ashiyan, Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav Hamnuna, halacha Reb Shimon. The halacha is like Reb Shimon. V'loihi, and he says, Ein halacha Reb Shimon. The halacha is not like Reb Shimon. Right? So, so we got a freebie in these last bunch of lines, whether the halacha is like Reb Shimon or not. So, bottom line is the Gemara is leaving off that the halacha is not like Reb Shimon. Okay, we'll stop here. I'm sorry if it was not so understandable, not so easy. And all right. The Olam should have themselves a good Vach and a good Yah.
Shikayach, I got to get into that.
Oh, Rabbi Stein, question for you. Something came up on Shabbos. Someone was telling me about this new business reviewing something where you write a Google review for someone about their business. So he said people have come up to him saying, oh, we've worked on job sites before. If I write one for you, would you write one for me? I'm assuming that's Rivas.
If you do what?
Some kind of Google
what
review.
Happened?
A Google review for a business. So these are guys that are in different aspects of construction. Let's say one does bathrooms and one does general construction. So they've worked together, and one said, oh, I need some good positive reviews, how about I write one for you and you write one for me?
Well, did they actually use the services?
I guess technically in the past they did, but if they're saying you do one for me and I'm gonna do one for you, I'm assuming that would
That's
be an
not
issue, no?
Rivers. It's not. There's no loan. Rivers is only if there's a loan. There's no loan.
I thought
here.
it was also if you do something for me, I do something for you. It's not always with money trading, I thought.
No. It has something has to trade hands. Here, there's nothing trading hands.
You're
Gotcha.
just both
Um,
lying about it. You're just the guys are both lying about each other. He's a great tile man. The other guy says he's a great electrician. They're both lying.
Okay,
As a mitzvah to discuss on Shabbos. I
so
thought that was
Yaakov-
going to be your take.
Oh, look who's in town.
it had nothing to do
So
with me.
Yaakov-
The other guy wasn't even there.
We
The guy was
lost
talking to
Yeah.
himself.
No, he was talking to me and I'm not in either business. And he said it just felt weird.
Oh,
I'm not so sure it's the right thing to do if they never actually used them, but that's a different story,
Okay.
right?
it's advertising. It's a way to make that particular business come up higher on Google.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The more reviews they have, the more positive reviews, the closer it'll be to the top of the pile on a Google search.
Yeah, it's like when people lie on Amazon about reviews to get
Yeah.
free products.
Mm-hmm.
I had a job. I had a job up here, and they wanted to know if I'm licensed. I'm licensed in 30 places. But then I got an email back that they Googled me, and they had they found all my license numbers, the in and the hair, and all over the place. And said, no, don't bother wasting your time sending, emailing my license over, blah blah blah. But whatever. So Yaakov, I got a Shilas in hearing aids.
Yeah, you
And
hold by that.
hearing aids without the Erev. Hearing aids are my daughter's hearing aids. She has two different types. And I'd like to bring them over to you sometime tomorrow. What time is good to come over?
For what do you think I know from hearing aids?
Well, who else am I going to go to?
No,
Half
I
the
know
people
what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
know hear anymore.
No, I'm saying what's it that we could ask the shy. We could discuss the Shiloh. I'm not sure what's seeing how the hearing aid. What's seeing the hearing aids.
Oh, the light